What is going on, guys? Drumvillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content. Now today we are back in the Great League and we are bringing you a team which is going to be Chesnaught and Double Steel. Now when I originally made this team, I was playing with it early on in the season in the first section when we had Great League, and I had pretty good success with it, and I wanted to make a video about this team then. We've been using this team even more since Great League came back, and we've had even better success with it than we had the first time, so I decided, no, I'm definitely going to make a video about this team, show it to you guys, show what it can do. So this is going to be a mix of battles from the first half of the season and from this time when Great League's been back. So there's going to be a mixture of battles between me being around rank 12 and 13, and then there's going to be a section of battles where I'm at my current ranking, which is around 2600 ELO, so in the veteran ranking. And these battles are going to be a lot faster. I'm going to be talking about an individual lead and the rough strategy for each team, rather than the more shoutcasty style of videos we've been doing recently. So in the lead on this team, we've got Chestnut, and that is a 1-4-4 IV spread, and it's running Vine Whip, Energy Ball, and Superpower. Chestnut's really unique in having that grass fighting type. I think the only other Pokemon that really fills that niche would be Breloom, which obviously has access to Counter and Grass Knot, which is very strong. And in the back on this team, we've got Galarian Stunfisk running Mudshot, Rock Slide, and Earthquake, which is the very standard moveset for Galarian Stunfisk. And we've also got Registeel, which is Lock On, Flash Cannon, and Focus Blast. Registeel sees a lot less play generally in Great League at this point than it used to, and that's partially in part down to Galarian Stunfisk being very, very strong and kind of filling the same role while also beating Registeel. But both these Pokemon make very good save swaps, so depending on the lead we get, we might swap into Galarian Stunfisk or we might swap into Registeel depending on what we want to line up later with that lead down the line. And as you're going to see, this team can be very effective at flipping some matchups back around when we do lose lead, and one or the other of either Registeel or Stunfisk being able to sweep in the back, and sometimes even Chestnut clutching some wins for us. So without any further ado, let's jump into some battles, and the first lead we're going to be looking at is a bad lead. It's Altaria. Now, obviously we want to swap out of this lead and we're going to swap into Registeel. And the reason we swap into Registeel specifically is because both Stunfisk and Registeel are great answers to Altaria, but Stunfisk is a better answer. In the 2-shield scenario, Altaria can beat Registeel, whereas in 2 shields against Stunfisk, it can't. So you want to use the Registeel on the save swap. Plus you're going to see here it actually gets a shield out of this Swampert. So now we still haven't got switch advantage, but we have a shield advantage, which is massive when you need any leg up you can get when you lose lead as hard as we have here. So we're going to swap straight out into Stunfisk, and they've got their own Stunfisk, and now we're up a shield, so we can go straight Earthquake. As long as they don't catch an Earthquake on Altaria, that would be absolutely awful for us. And they let it go through. I think they were hoping for a bait. They really needed it to be a bait at that point. So now we're safe to shield and go for 1 or 2 Rock Slides to get rid of this thing, and then we'll be fine to take out the Altaria. We found them down and they concede the match there. GG's. So as you can see, Registeel getting that shield advantage was pretty key for us. And in this match, we're going to see a Zoomerl lead, which is obviously a great lead, so they're likely to swap out. And they bring in a Deoxys. And Deoxys is pretty bad news for both our backline Pokemon, since it's running counter, so it's going to be hitting both Stunfisk and Registeel for super effective damage. We decided to bring in Registeel to meet this thing. Registeel generally is more threatening with its charge moves to a lot of Pokemon than Stunfisk is, and we got a feeling that Stunfisk is going to have more play towards the end of the match, so we're going to spend Registeel here. A better play would have been to throw an Energy Ball on Chestnut at the Deoxys before swapping into Registeel or Stunfisk, but we're happy either way at how that's worked out. We've got rid of both shields from them, so now we've got 2 shield advantage, and they give up swap, which is a huge mistake on their part, because now we can definitely lock Chestnut onto this thing, land an Energy Ball, do a bit of extra farming, and with all shields down, Stunfisk is set quite strongly to sweep this endgame. Let's see what they choose to bring in. They bring in the Deoxys, and we've got another Energy Ball ready to go already. This might take out the Deoxys, nearly takes it out, and then we can farm down, and they've got a Registeel in the back. So we're looking really strong with our own Stunfisk. We'll be able to get off a Superpower already on Chestnut. And we've got the Earthquake ready on Stunfisk as well. But as you can see, Registeel getting shields away from an opponent is really clutch, really key in a lot of matches here. So another common lead here is Stunfisk. Now Stunfisk gets a good lead for us. Obviously it will resist in all the charge moves and the fast moves, and they swap into Pelipper. And we want to bring in our own Galarian Stunfisk here. And that might sound strange, but what we're wanting to do is sneak in an extra mud shot when they throw. If you get that one extra mud shot and you swap fast enough, you can win switch because you reach your charge moves at the same time. You can both take one charge move from the other. So if you get that one mud shot lead, you can flip this matchup. And as you can see, we're going to shield this, and now we're able to get to 2 rock slides and take them out. So they can choose to shield or not, but then we'll have switch advantage. So they're going to shield the first. They think that they must have underestimated how much energy we had, so we'll be able to throw another one, take them out. So we've got switch advantage, which is great. And now the Stunfisk comes back in, and they make an amazing catch here when we throw the Earthquake. They catch on a Tropius, and you would assume that's devastating to our team, but now we can bring in Registeel to hard wall off Tropius. Registeel is an amazing answer to a Tropius. It resists all the moves and does good damage with the Flash Cannon. So we're going to be able to take out the Tropius. We've still got Chestnut to line up with the Stunfisk, so this is going to be a GG's. So double steel can be very difficult to deal with if you've not got the right Pokemon yourself in the back to handle 2 steel types. Because often with this team, you're going to pull out the only counter with your safe swap, and then the other one's going to be free to sweep in the back, which is the same as how a lot of ABB teams work. But this is kind of I wanted to try a bit of a unique spin on that style of team, try something new, and this is what we've ended up with. Now we've got another Stunfisk lead here, and this is another Stunfisk with another Pelipper safe swap, where they've got a different Pokemon in the back. And in this match, we're going to lose this matchup. We're not going to get through the mud shot that we need to flip this Pelipper matchup round, and you're going to see how we still manage to play around that and still take the win in this match. So we build up, we've got a lot of energy here. We've got 2 rock slides that we can throw here. Like I say, we're overcharging because we want to try and get extra mud shots through to get ahead on energy and also help them underestimate how much energy we have. Maybe they think they can overfarm a little bit, get greedy, and then we can take them out. As you can see here, we're going to get this one off, but they've still got a shield. They're going to be able to shield this, and then they'll be able to take us out before we can take them out. So we decide to catch on Chestnut. We know this is a weather ball, which is great for us. And we can probably farm down before they get to a Hurricane, so they're forced to swap out into a Hypno, a Shadow Hypno. Now, this is why swapping out aggressively is really dangerous, because Hypnos massively threaten to Chestnut. The confusion damage absolutely chunks, but you see how much we managed to do there with an Energy Ball and a Superpower while shields were down. And we're able to farm down with Stunfisk before they can get off a move, and that, we CMP tie here, so we lose CMP, so we're going to get taken out here, but now the Pelipper's energy dry, we can farm down with Registeel to get an energy lead, and it's a Stunfisk in the back. And again, you would think this is bad and a loss, but Registeel can take 1 Earthquake. And we're ahead on energy so much that we're going to be able to get to 2 Focus Blasts to take out the Stunfisk and take the win. Registeel is really strong if you can get shields away from your opponent early on, and then it's left free to sweep in the back. Now, you're probably wondering what happens if you run into a fire lead, and fire leads are tough to deal with this team, no doubt about it. But let's look at a spicy one to start. Let's look at a Victini lead, it's the only Victini lead I saw when running this team, but I had to show it all the same because now we swap out into Stunfisk and we're met with a Scrafty, which is absolutely devastating. This is hard counter city, and we're going to be able to get a shield away from Scrafty. Again, these Stunfisk and Registeel are both very, very good at getting shields away from opponents in the safe swap position. I think generally Registeel is a better safe swap against a Victini lead than Stunfisk is, as Stunfisk has better play against Victini in the back if they meet up later on. But Registeel can hold its own somewhat well, but just not as good, as it doesn't threaten a one-shot with the Earthquake. But they might not realise that. So we're just going to be throwing Flash Cannons, as it is the more energy efficient move to throw against a Victini. And they're going to build up, and we're going to be able to get to another Flash Cannon, which is great for us here. They're obviously hesitant to throw, but look how much damage that does. That doesn't look not very effective, right? That hits like an absolute truck. And they're going to have to throw 2 here to take us out. And this might not quite, no, it doesn't quite take us out because of the debuff. We're able to farm them down, which is nuts. Coming with Chestnut into the Scrafty, you're able to farm that down, and it's in a Bomber snowing back, and we've got double superpowers. So we're able to take the win from a very hard lead loss and a very hard safe switch loss, which just shows how strong this team can be. So let's have a look at another common Great League Pokemon, and that is Bastiodon. And Bastiodon is obviously a tank, and everything on this team has play against Bastiodon. Nothing on this team has to worry about Bastiodon. Registeel beats Bastiodon, Stunfisk beats Bastiodon, and Chestnut beats Bastiodon. So we're going to throw the first superpower, and then before they throw their move, we're going to catch on Stunfisk. Because we want to tempt out any hard steel counters that Registeel's going to have to worry about in the back. So we're met with a Medicham, which is pretty bad. But the main goal here is just to get shields and keep shields ourselves. So we're going to build to the Earthquake, throw a Rock Slide, hopefully get at least one shield out of them, and then throw another Rock Slide to do some chip damage. And the opponent decides to shield twice, which is absolutely wild. This gives us a win condition at this point, because Registeel can hit so hard in the back once all shields are down. So we're going to come in with Chesnaught, throw the Energy Ball, do some good damage here, and I think we're just going to take this. Now we're going to shield up the Ice Punch, it would do good damage. And now we're going to swap into Registeel and go for the Flash Cannon. They swap out into Bastiodon, which forces us to throw, which is a great play on their part. And that Medicham's got some energy, so we're a little bit concerned at this point. And they've got a Mew in the back. Now Mew, again, it's a box of tricks. Whenever you see it, you don't know what it's going to be running. And at this point, we're just praying that it doesn't have Flame Charge. And luckily it's Surf, but we're not going to be able to get to another Flash Cannon before they get to another Surf to take us out. But at least they're throwing here. We're going to let this go down and then come in with Chestnut and hopefully get to enough moves to take them out. And for some reason, we don't shield this. We're worried we're going to have to shield a move from the Mew. We hope for a Power Up Punch from Medicham. We call the bait wrong and we get taken out. So let's take a look at another hard lead loss, and that is Scammery. Scammery is about as hard a counter as they come to Chestnut, although the superpowers do good damage, but you can't really consistently be throwing superpowers to take it out, otherwise the air slashes will just do too much damage, as you are taking double super effective damage from the air slashes and the Brave Birds and the Sky Attacks. So we swap out into Stunfisk, and we're hoping to catch the Scammery with Registeel down the line. We're expecting an Azumarill in back, and Stunfisk can really flip matchups against Azumarill if you can land 2 Earthquakes. So we're met with a Mew at this point. Obviously the Scammery is not going to come in and meet this thing. So at this point, Chestnut is feeling a little bit like dead weight, depending on the moveset that the Mew's running. So we're going to be happy to bring in the Chestnut here and do some work on the Mew, maybe get a shield. You should be able to take 1 Flame Charge and get off an Energy Ball, but we are going to shield it actually. That might have been a mistake. But then they swap out aggressively into Scammery. We've got Registeel to wall this off. And the good thing about this matchup is it's going to let us come out of here with some energy to threaten the Mew, to then get the shield, so then hopefully Chestnut can throw a Weather Ball and take it out. Now we're going to have to take a few Sky Attacks on Registeel, but that's okay. Registeel can take Sky Attacks all day. Registeel's not bothered about this damage at this point. We're going to throw the Flash Cannon, and we want to undercharge this really to get a bit of farm down on them. But we overestimate a little bit, and we do a bit too much damage, so we don't really get a farm down. So the Mew's going to be able to throw a move here and take us out before we can throw a Flash Cannon. So now it's going to be, can Chestnut get to 2 moves? We've got a lot of energy. We've got almost 100 energy on this Chestnut. So we can throw, get the shield, race into the charge move. We make it to there. Is this going to be able to take out the Mew and take the win? It is. GG to my opponent. Now let's look at a spicy lead. Let's look at Shadow Zapdos. Now Shadow Zapdos is the squishiest Pokemon you could imagine. Just imagine the squishiest substance that you know of, take it into a ball, throw it at Shadow Zapdos, and Shadow Zapdos will explode into a million pieces. I guarantee you, it is so squishy. So we swap out into Registeel because it's a bad lead for Chestnut, and we want to line Stunfisk up with it later hopefully, and we're met with a Flygon. Flygon's a pretty good anti-steel Pokemon, as it does have the ground moves that hit like an absolute truck, as you can see. And we're able to take Switch though. They decide to let Flygon go down, and that Zapdos has so much energy, but it's going to all be denied by Stunfisk. Stunfisk can take all these charge moves, can take Drill Pecks all day long, it can take Thunderbolts, and they're going to catch on a Swampert, which would be bad news for our backline, except because we've got Switch advantage, we can line Chestnut up with this. I'm going to go straight for the superpower because we're going to have to shield if they build it to a Sludge Wave anyway, so we might as well throw and get a shield from them initially. But now the Swampert's so low, we're going to let this go through and farm down with Stunfisk. We're that confident with Stunfisk against Zapdos. We know that that energy is not going to any use, so we just farm down. We got Rock Slides ready to throw, and this is going to be a done match. As you're going to see, the energy that Zapdos did manage to build up from when we swapped in with Registeel and then what it built up again really does add up actually. Like, it gets off a lot of drill pecks, but we're able to get to double rock slide, so we're going to get the shield and we're going to take them out. They do push it close by catching 2 charge moves. They caught the flash cannon on Flygon and they caught the rock slide on the Swampert, and that energy that they bought themselves really did almost pay off for them. So very good game. Now let's look at another bad lead. Let's look at Alolan Ninetales. Now Alolan Ninetales is bad no matter what it's running, whether it's running Charm or Powder Snow. It's just bad for Chesnaught. And we're going to swap into Stunfisk, because if it's running Powder Snow, then Registeel has a better matchup than Stunfisk. If they're running Charm, then both Stunfisk and Registeel have very good matchups. But Stunfisk has the more questionable one, since we're swapping so fast at the start. We're met with a Swampert, and we get a shield out of them straight away, which is really good for us. And they're going to throw here, and are we going to shield? No, we're not going to shield. We could have shielded and threatened with the Earthquake, but we figure we're happy to take shield advantage. And we're pretty sure this is a Hydro Cannon. Yeah, they threw that very fast, so we're not going to shield, and then we're going to throw the Superpower, threaten to get them straight out of here. We're going to undercharge it, since it was a CMP type, which is a little unfortunate. Farm down. And since we're debuffed, we're going to swap straight out to Registeel before we have a chance for any charm damage to land, and hope that with 2 shields, Registeel can sweep what's in the back, and it's an Empoleon. So this is looking pretty reasonable. We've got a chance here. As long as we can get off this next Focus Blast even, and take out the Empoleon. Empoleon is a lot squishier in Great League. It cannot take a Focus Blast from Registeel, and then it's going to be GG's. They can't do anything against Registeel with Ninetales. So, while we're on a streak of bad leads, let's look at Whimsicott. This is a solid wall to Chesnaught, so we're going to swap straight out into Stunfisk, as Registeel will have a better matchup down the line if we can get them lined up. We're met with an Obstagoon, and this is alright because we can threaten to take switch with Stunfisk. The main thing you want with this team is hopefully if you drop on a bad swap from your opponent, is that you can threaten to take switch. I'm going to throw the Rock Slide a little early. We should really have thrown one more Mud Shot to really have the Earthquake, but my opponent shields anyway, so we're happy to let this go down. Take switch advantage, farm down with Chestnut. We're not going to shield anything, because the charm damage from Whimsicott is really what's going to threaten Chestnut anyway. So it's going to build up a buttload of energy, have lots of energy to throw at the Whimsicott, and then swap out to Registeel and hope that with the shield advantage again, Registeel can sweep. And it's a Stunfisk in the back. So this again, upper shield is amazing for Registeel. We don't want to get baited with the Rock Slide, but we're going to shield what they throw. They built up to an Earthquake, so we should shield, really. Yeah, and it is the Earthquake, which is great for us. Now we just have to throw a Flash Cannon. We don't have to go all the way to Focus Blast since we landed it. Probably going to shield this year, and they want to at least threaten to get another Earthquake off. Then we're going to shield. We're not going to shield. We call the bait. It's a Rock Slide. That puts us in a really strong position for the end of this game, because now we can shield the Earthquake safely. Build up, throw the Flash Cannon, get rid of this thing, and then we'll be able to get to a Flash Cannon against the Whimsicott and take it out. And even if we can't, yeah, we can. If they'd have got to a move and taken us out, it would have been looking pretty bad, but we take the win there. Registeel with shield advantage is so deadly. So let's look at a mirror team, and it's not quite a mirror team, but it's very, very, very similar. So we've got 2 Chestnuts on the lead here against each other, and this is a game of chicken of who's going to throw the superpower and when. So we're building up energy. We're both hoping to sneak in an extra Vine Whip when the other one throws. So we're building up. We throw the energy ball to start off with after shielding theirs, which is fine. Now we don't mind too much losing switch as long as we do a lot of damage here. And they shield that up. And now it turns out that Chesnaught can actually survive a superpower, which I learned the hard way here. So we're both debuffed 1 stage each. So this hits like a regular superpower would, if neither of us were debuffed either as well, and you can see it survives. And now because we're extra debuffed, we can't survive it, and they swap out aggressively into Stunfisk. Now our thinking here is that Registeel's probably got a better chance at sweeping in the back than Stunfisk does. So we're going to swap to Stunfisk to catch an Earthquake, which is kind of nuts to think about. And now we're going to build up for an Earthquake to throw and take them out. They're gonna make a misjudgment here and throw a Rock Slide, which is nowhere near enough. We're gonna go for the Earthquake, take them straight out here, and then see what they've got in the back. And it's a Bastiodon. I think they were hoping to catch a move there on the Chestnut briefly with the throwing in and swapping, but we didn't have the energy for the Earthquake yet at that point. Throw the Earthquake, Registeel can come in and farm down, and we'll have energy to throw at the Chestnut if the Chestnut is it's healthy enough to not just get farmed down immediately with lock-ons, but we get to the Flash Cannon, we're going to take it out and take the win. So a very similar grass double steel line there, but with Bastiodon rather than Registeel. Now, if you're thinking, what about Talonflame? Well, let's have a look at a Talonflame lead, and we make an absolute shambles of this. Obviously, it's a terrible lead for pretty much the entire team. Stunfisk has the most play against it, so we definitely should have swapped into Registeel or stayed in with Chesnaught. Probably, I think swapping into Registeel would have been a good shout because it might have tempted them to swap out. We might have been able to get switch advantage and line Stunfisk up with it later. But by swapping into Stunfisk, we really are giving up our only decent counter to Talonflame here, which is not good. We're able to get a shield from this Venusaur, which is great for us. But really, we are not in a good position in this match. Now, we're going to come in with Registeel and hope to farm this Venusaur down entirely with lock-on to have a move ready to throw at the Talonflame if it comes in, or to throw at whatever else might come in. We might see what the third Pokemon is. It's a Stunfisk. So we've got a lot of energy, we've got a shield advantage, so there's a chance we can take this out. They let the Focus Blast go through and then they swap into Talonflame, so they were just wanting us to spend our energy there. And they've hung on to a shield because they know that Talonflame is their win con. And it's really going to go to town on our team here. So they shield up the Focus Blast, we swap into Chestnut, and we're not really sure what we're hoping to happen here. So we shield up a Flame Charge, now we're out of shields completely. And we're going to go ahead and throw a Superpower because both of them are resisted. So we figure we might as well throw a Superpower and maybe get to another one if they get greedy, but we don't quite get to it. So we're going to get farmed down, they're going to throw the move and take us out. GG, but yeah, if you run into a Talonflame, you're going to have probably a bad time with this team, but definitely swap Registeel in the lead and not Stunfisk. So, Umbreon. Umbreon's a good lead. Both Chesnaught and Registeel have very good play against Umbreon, and Stunfisk can go toe-to-toe with it. And we're met with a Pelipper swap, and again we're going to do that Stunfisk swap into the Pelipper, try and get one Mud Shot ahead, so then we can outpace them to the charge moves and take switch. But if we can't take switch, we don't mind because Registeel does very well against Umbreon and Chestnut does well against Umbreon. Now, we get a little greedy here and we overcharge. We've got to give up both shields before we get one out of them, which is a risky play because they could choose to let this go down and take a double shield advantage, which would give them quite a strong position to maybe flip this game around in their favour. But they decide to let it go down and we take switch, and they've got Dewgong in the back. Now we aggressively swap Registeel because now we know Dewgong has very good play against both Pokemon that they've got left. It's got better play against Dewgong, but also we're happy with either Pokemon lined up against either of theirs at this point. So they bring out the Umbreon and Registeel's just going to be able to go to town, landing Focus Blast on this thing. And the foul plays really aren't doing much damage. We can put a lot of pressure on with this Focus Blast because you can see how much damage it does to an Umbreon. 2 Focus Blasts nearly takes out an Umbreon and really puts it into lock-on farm down range at that point. Now we're going to bring out the Stunfisk to force them to either throw or get farmed down. So now we've got energy to throw from Stunfisk at this Dewgong that's going to do good damage. So we get the final shield. Now we're going to be safe to either land, well, now we've got this extra chip damage from this Rock Slide, one Superpower will take out the Dewgong, and Chestnut should be able to take one Icy Wind from Dewgong fairly comfortably. So we could go with either Pokemon in here, because if we're going with Registeel, it probably forces them to use more energy. We're not super stressed, we're very close. When we get to the Superpower, take them out, and that's a good game. Now, if an Umbreon chooses to stay in against your Chestnut lead, I recommend you build up to 2 Superpowers, throw an Energy Ball, then go and build up to 2 Superpowers again, and then throw back-to-back Superpowers. Because if you just throw Superpowers from the start, there's a chance that the Umbreon can actually outlast you. So, Obstagoon. Obstagoon is again a very good lead for Chestnut. You are risking one-shotting them with a Superpower. I think if they shield one, the second one might not quite, so you want to build up to 2 to get some slightly higher Vine Whip damage in. I think if they choose to double shield, they can win this matchup, but they choose to swap out, and we get a little greedy with energy there. We wanted to get an extra Vine Whip before we swapped out, and the confusion took us out, and we lost a lot of energy there, and that really puts us on the back foot. Because Chestnut was our best answer to Obstagoon, which is still alive, and now it's somewhere in the back, and we can't line. We're going to have to line up either Stunfisk or Registeel with it down the line, and it's going to be able to put some work in. So now it's an uphill battle. So if you see someone swap out and you see that Psychic, get out of there straight away. Don't wait to see what it is, because if it's a Hypno, that confusion will do massive damage. The Obstagoon comes back in here, which we're happy about, because they must think that Stunfisk is the only thing that it has to deal with. But now we're going with Registeel, And we're not going to shield this move from hit. No, we are going to shield it. It's a fire punch. It would have done a decent chunk of damage, not loads though. But we figure we might as well shield here, keep this Registeel healthy and hope that a shield down Registeel with the potential to catch one charge move on a Stunfisk might just be enough to flip this matchup back around. A Shiftry in back. Now Shiftry can do pretty well against Registeel in a drawn out match. We do get the shield with the Flash Cannon bait, which is a miracle for us because we need all the energy advantage we can get. And they throw and we catch on Stunfisk, which is absolutely clutch, which might just give us the edge to make it to this Focus Blast. If this isn't, it's a foul play, it's going to get us very low, but we're just able to get the Focus Blast and take them out. But that, taking out the Chestnut with the Hypno from them was very well played and very nearly cost us that match. So, now we're back talking about positive leads, let's talk about Swampert. Swampert is a very, very good lead for this team. You just have to watch out for the Sludge Wave. They swap into a Galvantula, and Stunfisk is a very good answer to a Galvantula, Gavancha Marmalade. So we can comfortably wall this thing off, take it out, and keep the Chestnut aligned with the Swampert. We do shield an Earthquake, which is a bit unfortunate, but doesn't matter too much. We weren't really expecting them to shield at this point, but we're just going to go straight for Earthquake each time. We're just going to go straight to take them out. Especially now that we've been debuffed with Lunge, I think we need an Earthquake at this point to take them out. They don't shield that one, so now we should be able to farm down with Mudshot. Yep, just. The Swampert's going to come back in, just going to throw the Earthquake. We're not going to swap out or anything like that, we just want to keep Chestnut aligned with this. And actually we do swap out, and this is a very dangerous mistake. I don't know why we decided to do this, because now they've got a Scammery that gets locked onto our Chestnut. And it's just as well that we've got a shield advantage, because now Registeel can wall off this energy, we can farm it down, and we've still got shields to protect ourselves from the Swampert to get off the moves and finish it off since it is pretty low. But that was a high risk play, and I would normally recommend that you just stop in with the Stunfisk, allow the Swampert to farm you down or whatever, and then take it out with the Chestnut and keep the Registeel on what would have been the Scammery in the back. But this still worked out for us here, still gives us the win, and it's a GG. Now, probably the most problematic safe swap for this team to deal with would be a Medicham. Medicham is a big issue because it's got reasonable play against Chestnut and it's got good play against Stunfisk and Registeel. So if they were to swap in a Medicham when you already had a good lead and you feel pressure to keep the Chestnut alive, so let's say if you had like a Swampert on lead and they swapped into Medicham, you're in a tough spot. So, back to a horrific lead. How do we play a Tropius lead? Now, Tropius absolutely walls off Chestnut. It double resists the grass moves, it single resists the fighting moves. So what I'm going to do here is build up, throw a superpower, since it's only single resisted, hit for a decent little chunk, and then we're going to swap out to Stunfisk. Because what we're expecting to happen is that we're probably going to lose switch, and then we're going to have to keep chipping away at the Tropius, and we're better off chipping away with superpowers and then swapping out before we take debuffed damage. We'd have probably swapped out sooner from Chestnut, but since it was running Razor Leaf and not Air Slash, there isn't that much fast move pressure, and we just wanted to make sure we were out of there before it got to an Air Slash. Not an Air Slash, a Aerial Ace to throw at the Chestnut. And we obviously have to deal with the Deoxys now, and this isn't too bad because this is probably, it might very well be the best answer to Registeel on their team. And if it is, that means Registeel's definitely primed to sweep this end game. And that's really what you want to do with these ABB teams, is you want to swap out, pull out the strongest counter to a steel type, deal with it, and then you've got your other steel type in the back that's going to be able to sweep their team. So you can see we've got a 2 shield advantage, and they've got a Bastiodon in the back. Now they almost make this is a good play, catching a Flash Cannon on Bastiodon, since we would normally have to go for Focus Blast. But realistically, we're going to have to throw one of each anyway to take it out, so we don't really mind. We're going to take that thing straight out. We've still got a 2 shield advantage, and we're going to be able to take out this Tropius. If it had a lot of energy and we had maybe like we'd used an extra shield, it might have had a bit of a chance, but really it's just not going to be able to deal with this. We're going to swap into Chestnut, throw the superpower. They would have had to throw to get rid of that before we could take it out, so good game. So since we're on a roll, flipping bad leads, let's have a look at a Shadow Venusaur lead that we had to deal with. And again, this is bad. We're going to swap out to Stunfisk because Stunfisk still takes neutral damage from the Frenzy Plants, whereas Registeel resists everything. from Venusaur. So Registeel's a better answer, so we swap into Stunfisk and hope to line up the Registeel later on. You know, standard safe swap play, really, and we're met with an Alolan Marowak to punish the Stunfisk. And this Alolan Marowak's not really that good of an answer to Stunfisk. Stunfisk generally beats Alolan Marowak. The longer the match draws out, the closer Marowak can push it, and because we let a move through early on, they could have chosen to take switch, but they choose not to, come in with Swampert and try and farm down our Stunfisk. Now this is scary because they could bait us and then get to a Sludge Wave and take out the Chestnut, and then this Swampert's going to do a lot of damage to our Registeel, but we shield the Sludge Wave, and then they swap out aggressively into Venusaur. This is great because now we can wall off all the energy that the Venusaur's got. We can take it out with Flash Cannon, probably come out of this matchup with some residual energy so that we can threaten the Swampert so it has to throw sooner, and that should mean we can get to a move on Chestnut against the Swampert and finish off this game. So you can see Flash Cannon takes it straight out. I think we slightly underestimated how hard the Flash Cannon had hit. I think we wanted to be able to farm down with Lock On, but either way we get to the Focus Blast, take them out and take that win. So now let's have a look at a slightly more unusual lead, and that's Shadow Snorlax. Now you're not going to see a lot of Shadow Snorlax leads, but if you do, it's a pretty good lead for Chesnaught because those superpowers threaten massive damage. Snorlax is bulky in every league that it's in, but it's the least bulky in Great League. So you see the Body Slam does a lot of damage from the Shadow as well. We're going to throw double superpowers and we're going to get both shields. So we're going to swap out into Stunfisk and see if we can tempt out a water type that maybe Chestnut would have a little bit of play left with a little bit of health. We're not sure, but either way we've got double shields left, so it gives us a lot of play for the rest of the game. Now Stunfisk is low and we're kind of gambling now on Registeel being able to sweep the rest of this game up 2 shields, and they bring in a Lapras to deal with the Stunfisk, which isn't really the best answer to a Stunfisk. It took massive damage from the Rock Slides, and now we're going to be able to farm down with Lock On from Registeel, which is really good for us. We're going to use our first shield on the Surf because at this point we've got to shield something. And check out this lag. All that froze, you see the chunk of health disappeared, they get to another Surf. We're not going to shield this, and that is absolutely abysmal that we lagged that much. But we got that much energy, we're going to be able to take out this Snorlax with one shot from the Focus Blast. Let's see what they got in the back. Can we still deal with it? It's a Stunfisk. So now we're going to hopefully get to... This is too soon to be an Earthquake. They threw that very quickly, so we're not going to shield. We're going to throw the Focus Blast, swap to Chestnut, and then race to Superpower to finish it off. And we've got a shield. We're resisting the Mud Shots. You just have to shield up this Rock Slide, get one more Vine Whip in, throw the Superpower, take it out, and take the win. But that lag very nearly cost us heavily in that game. GG. Right, so we got one more good lead that we want to talk about in this video, and that is Politoed. Politoed is just a very good lead for Chestnut, unless it's running Blizzard. But by the time it gets to Blizzard, you're going to be able to threaten them with Energy Balls, and they're still going to have to be committing in shields to get them off. They swap out into a Deoxys, and like I said, we want to throw an Energy Ball before we swap out. And we swap into Stunfisk because Stunfisk, there's no pressure to shield. All the threat from Deoxys comes from the counter fast move, so we're not going to have to give up any shields here. We want to keep our shields ready just in case we're back up against that Politoed and we feel threatened that they might actually have a Blizzard. We're going to be able to comfortably take switch advantage back here, and we're going to build up. They throw immediately, which is great for us. Means we don't have to worry about them overcharging too much. We're going to go out for Rock Slide for a little bit of goodbye damage on the way out from Stunfisk, which is great. See, the Politoed is already getting pretty low. The Vine Whip damage really does chunk away at it, and I think we're going to shield this. Yeah, they had a lot of energy. It's just a Weather Ball, so it's not really that big of a stress. We're going to let this go through. It felt a little early, and it's an Earthquake. So, not all Politoeds are running Blizzard. Like, the more recommended moveset is Earthquake rather than Blizzard. And they've got a Bastiodon in the back, so this is a GG's for us. Nothing they can do here when we bring Registeel out. But with Politoed, until you know they've got Earthquake, don't assume they can't have Blizzard because it's a legacy move. So if some people don't want to spend the Elite Charge TM, they might have Blizzard. So, bad lead, Hypno. Swap out to Registeel. Because Stunfisk, well, they both got pretty even play against Hypno, Stunfisk and Registeel. But I prefer to swap out Registeel in those scenarios because I feel like Registeel is a slightly stronger safe swap in the current meta. More people are prepared for a Galarian Stunfisk safe swap than they are a Registeel safe swap, and it's not always the same things you want to bring in to deal with them. So here we've pulled out an Azumarill, which has a pretty neutral matchup with Registeel, especially if they don't have Hydro Pump. Whereas against Stunfisk it's a much worse matchup, and this Azumarill might be their best answer to a Stunfisk. So we're going to farm them down with Lock On here. We're getting very, very, very aggressive, and we're making a mess of this because we give up 2 shields here because we really wanted that Lock On farm down, which was really not worth it. The Hypno's going to come in, we're going to throw the Flash Cannon straight away. So we're kind of in a really iffy spot here. We're not able to get a second Flash Cannon off either, which is really, this is really starting to look bad for us. And the Hypno is running Fire Punch, which is the more threatening charge move that Hypno can have for the Steel types, apart from Focus Blast, but you're very unlikely to see Focus Blast Hypnos in the Great League. They are out there, but if it happens, if I get Focus Blasted, I'm happy to accept that I get Focus Blasted. So we have really made a mess of this game by really getting greedy with Registeel. Like, Registeel is great Pokemon, but you cannot farm down many Pokemon with Lock On. There are very few situations that you are safe to do that. And Azumarill is so bulky, has so much health. We really underestimated that. It's a long time since I've tried to farm an Azumarill down with a Registeel, and I definitely got greedy there, and it cost us this game heavily. Now, this last bad lead is an unusual one. It's not one you're really going to see very often, if at all. It's Sunny Castform, and that's as bad as it gets. We swap out to Stunfisk and we pull out an Azumarill, which is horrendous for us. Again, we should have swapped Registeel, not Stunfisk, because Stunfisk has the most play against a fire type on the team. But we saw a Sunny Castform, and honestly, we just panicked and threw out Stunfisk, but this is not going to go well. You see a Sunny Castform, you are going to have a bad time trying to deal with it. The Ember damage really chunks away. It gets to Weather Ball super fast, and that's going to smash all your Pokemon to pieces. It is just bad news bears if you run into a Sunny Castform. So now it's like, yep, great. We managed to get switch advantage off the Azumarill, but for what purpose? Well, what can we do? We're stuck with a Chestnut and a Registeel to try and deal with this thing. We hit it with a superpower, which is great, I guess, but now our stats are lower, so we swap out to Registeel, but then it's going to beat us to a move. It's still got a shield. It's going to be able to shield the Flash Cannon here. And it beats us to the move. We get greedy with the energy. We should have just thrown straight away, so we have to double shield this, and now it's going to be able to take us out and take out Chestnut, and it's just going to sweep our entire team. We're not even going to see what the third Pokemon is in the back. So you see a Sunny Castform with this team, you can kiss your ass goodbye, but every team's weak to something, right? And that's all the unique leads I wanted to show you guys with this team that we've played against. As you can see, Registeel and Stunfisk both make really powerful safe swaps and can really flip a lot of matchups around. Chestnut is really, really effective with that superpower and energy ball. It's a great move set, and this team's been performing great for us. So let me know down below what you guys think of the team. Let me know if you've tried it, if it works out for you or not. I said for me, it's helping me climb up through the 25-2600 rating range, which I was kind of surprised by when I first put this team together. And subscribe if you want to see more teams, more content, more strategies. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.